Oh, it's time to go. It's time. We're recording right now. Oh, I guess. Hey, how's it going? This is Mr. Pearson, and we're going to talk about reading and writing decimals up to the thousandths place. So let's get started. First thing we want to do is we want to ask ourselves, what is a decimal? And a decimal is a part of a number that we get when we divide a number into even smaller parts. We can have a decimal when we take a whole number, like 1, and we divide it into 10 smaller parts, 100 smaller parts, or even 1,000 smaller parts. So it can be cut into 10, which are small, 100, which are even smaller, and 1,000, which is even smaller than that. That's how we get decimals. So the first question we ask ourselves is, what are tenths? And when we divide a whole number into 10 smaller parts, this is called tenths. We write tenths by using a decimal point, which is a dot, and 1 digit after the decimal place. Here are some examples of numbers with tenths. We're going to read this as 8 tenths because there's an 8 in the tenths place, 1 digit after the decimal spot. It's 8 tenths. 2 and 9 tenths, again, 1 decimal place. And when you see that decimal right there, we don't want to say the word point. We're going to say and. So 2 and 9 tenths. And then this number is 13 and 5 tenths because we have the decimal place, decimal point, and 1 digit after the decimal place. Now, what are hundredths? When we divide a whole number into 100 smaller pieces, this is called hundredths. We write hundredths, again, by using the decimal point and then having 2 digits after the decimal. So here are some examples of numbers with hundredths. We have a decimal place and then 2 digits. So we're going to say 38. We're going to give it a last name of hundredths because it has 2 digits. Then we have 2 and 49 hundredths. Again, 2 digits. So that is hundredths place. And then 13 and 75 hundredths. And then what are, let me move myself out of the way here. What are thousandths? Well, when we divide a number into 1,000 smaller pieces, this is called thousandths. We write thousandths by using the decimal place and then having 3 digits after the decimal. So here are some examples of numbers with thousandths in it. We would say, we'd read this whole number, 578. It comes after the decimal, so we read it 578. Then he needs a last name, 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So this is thousandths, 578 thousandths. 2 and, remember we don't say point, we say and, 189 thousandths. And 13 and 15 thousandths. 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. The number 15, 3, 13, and 15 thousandths. Now, how do we write decimals? Well, there are 2 ways that we can write decimals. The first is in standard form by using numbers. So that's when we would use like the number 5 and 7 and 326. That's how we'd write it, making sure we put our decimal place in there. And the second is in word form, using the word and where we see the decimal. So if we were writing it and we have the digits 2, a decimal point, and 9, we would write that out as 2, TWO, and 9, NINE, and then give it a last name of tenths. So how do we write this? Well, you can see here we have it first off written in word form, 5 and 3 tenths. So when we write this in standard form, we're going to write our number 5. We have that word and, so we're going to put a decimal point. And then because it's 3/10, only one decimal, only one digit's needed, a 3, 5 3/10. 12, decimal point, 6 for 12 6/10. Here's some more in the hundredths place, 4 26/100. We're going to write a 4. We're going to put a decimal point, because we're writing from word form to standard form. If we were going from standard form to word form, we would write it like we have up here with our words. And we're going to write 26, 26, 4 26/100. 12 59/100. 12, decimal point for the and, 59/100. And now we're getting to the thousandths place where we're going to need 3 digits. So 8 327 thousandths. We'll write the number 8, put a decimal point, and then write 327 327. 5 883 thousandths. We're going to write a 5. What do we put when we see the word and when we're writing this? That's right, we're going to put a decimal point. And then we're going to write 883 thousandths. So let's review very quickly. What is a decimal? A decimal is a part of a number that we get when we divide a number into even smaller parts. And you can have a decimal when you divide a whole number, like 1, into 10 smaller parts, which would be tenths, 100 smaller parts, which would be hundredths, and even 1,000 smaller parts, which would be thousandths. What are tenths? Well, when we divide a whole number into 10 smaller parts, this is called tenths. And when we write that, we write it by using 1 decimal point and 1 digit after the decimal. And this has been reading and writing decimals up to the thousandths. Got cut off there at the end, so let's review again this real quick. When we're writing the hundredths, we're going to have a decimal place in how many digits? That's right, we're going to have 2. And if it's thousandths, how many digits are we going to have after the decimal place? We're going to have 3. All right, this has been Mr. Pearson with reading and writing decimals up to the thousandths. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you next time.